the place who loves cares. And then, my beautiful people, are you all right? It's Silvio who speaks here, and if there's a subject that keeps me awake at night, that makes me get out of bed capable of anything, it's good 9 o'clock soap opera gossip. And look, today the word is serious because today, Wednesday, July 15, 2026, another chapter of Quem, Cuida will be aired. And I, Silvio, #1 fan of this plot, came here to bring to you firsthand everything that Globo has already revealed about what's coming up. Pay attention, because this preview promises to extract sigh, revolt, and a lot of sadness from those who follow the soap opera. Before going headfirst into today's chapter, let me situate who might be arriving right now in this gossip wheel. Quem, Cuida is the 9 o'clock soap opera on TV Globo, shown from Monday to Saturday at 9:20 p.m., written by Walser Carrasco and Claudia Souto, with the collaboration of Bruno Segadilla, Julia Lax, Martha Mendonça, and Wendell Bendelack, and artistic direction by Amora Mautner. The plot takes place in a São Paulo devastated by a great flood, and follows Adriana's transformation, experienced by the very talented Leticia Collin, a woman who loses practically everything: her job, her house, and her husband Carlos, the role of Jesuita Barbosa, taken by the waters, and who needs to start over from scratch. Moved by a thirst for justice that grows chapter by chapter. And here comes the first information for you to keep, because it is essential to understand everything that comes around. After the flood, Adriana ends up in a shelter, and it is there that she crosses the path of Pedro, the idealistic lawyer lived by Chase Suede. It was an intense meeting, one of those exchanges of views that we know will be confused in a few chapters. And it's not that it really did. But fate, as cruel as it was, called Adriana to work in the house of Arthur Brandão, captain of the jewelry business, lived by Antonio Fagundes, who became Pedro's godfather. And that's when the boil began. Adriana and Arthur, who at first had a relationship between boss and employee, developed trust and affection for each other. He, a rich man but weakened inside, fearing that the family itself, ambitious, sister Pilar, lived by Isabel Teixeira, brother Ulysses, lived by Alexandre Borges, and sister-in-law Silvana, lived by Belize Pombal, had all her fortune, took a decision that changed everything. He proposed to Adriana a marriage of convenience, a pact of protection and gratitude, and she accepted. But my people, you know what the 9 o'clock soap opera is like, right? Nothing looks good for long. Arthur ended up dying, and Adriana was unjustly convicted of participating in the death of her own convenience husband. She even got 12 years in prison, and she was completely innocent. Imagine the revolt of seeing someone pay for a crime he didn't commit, while the real culprits walk around at ease, full of the money that was meant to be hers. Well, that's the pain that pushes the plot forward. After serving 6 years in a closed regime, Adriana finally got her parole, and since she left, she only thinks about one thing: revenge. Revenge against those who framed her, among them Pilar, who took over all of Arthur's fortune and business, and Pedro, the same lawyer at the shelter, whom she believes was one of those responsible for her conviction. And it doesn't stop there because Pedro, even in love with Adriana to this day, is trying to get on with life alongside the ambitious Bruna, experienced by Fernanda Marcus, who is even pregnant with him. But this boy's heart clearly didn't choose the right one, and you'll see that with all the letters in tomorrow's chapter. Meanwhile, on the other side of this story, there is Otaniel, Adriana's grandfather, who began to work hard as a florist to support the family and obtain evidence that helped to his granddaughter once and for all. And which approached, experienced by Natalia Dill, a mysterious antic woman who appeared out of nowhere in his life. Many people have already commented that there is a mystery in this character, see? Keep that name. Well then, it is within this melting pot of betrayal, love, and the thirst for justice that Chapter 50 of Whoever Loves Cares falls, scheduled to air tomorrow, Wednesday, July 15th, 2026. And look, based on the official summary that Globo itself has already released as a preview of the next chapters, I'm going to unravel here, part by part, everything that promises to set this character on fire. Because it's good to make it clear to you, my responsibility here as a narrator is always to bring sensitive information, straight from serious sources, without making any suggestions. So this is a preview, an anticipation based on what the station has already officially confirmed. And she already gives cloth for her sleeve, see? If you're arriving on this channel right now, let me tell you something. Here in the world now, we don't do shallow gossip. No. We go deep, look for context, look for a backstage, Look for what the actors are talking about outside the recording so you can understand the soap opera as a true fan of the card. And so you don't miss anything that's coming, this narration will have 7 parts. Each one bringing a piece of this incredible plot with the right to curiosity at the end of each part to make you smart for what comes next. Bora with everything for part 2, because now we really get into what will happen tomorrow night between Adriana and Nancy. Part 2. Adriana, confessa. I still love Pedro. We're back, my people. Part 2. And now we enter the scene that promises to leave the jaw-dropping audience in the chapter for tomorrow, Wednesday, July 15th. According to the official preview released by Globo, Adriana will tell Nancy that she has found Pedro, and, attention to what comes now, she confesses to her friend who still loves him. Let me repeat this very slowly for you to feel the weight. Even after all, after the unfair prison, after years locked up paying for a crime she didn't commit, Adriana's heart keeps beating fast for the same man she did too. Suspected of having contributed to his. This is the kind of contradiction that only a good soap opera out of 9 can build with such mastery. And who is this Nancy? You must be wondering. Nancy is a character who carries enormous weight within this plot, directly linked to Arthur's death and the consequences it brought to the lives of everyone around. The official summary also mentions that Camilo, another female name in this gear, reacts coldly when meeting Lyris, and Nancy comments that the boy never forgave his father's death. That is, my people, this soap opera does not leave a loose end. Each character carries a pain, a grudge, an open wound that is poked little by little, chapter after chapter, until it explodes. Going back to the meeting between Adriana and Nancy, this confession is not just a silly outburst between friends, no. She is strategic within the story. Because it shows us, the public, how far this protagonist's internal conflict goes. On the one hand, the love that insists on not dying. On the other, the thirst for justice that made her leave jail with a very clear objective in her head. And that's exactly what the summary confirms in the sequence. Adriana tells Nancy that she hasn't given up on revenge. That is, people. The heart may even be soft for Pedro, but the head is still cold, calculating each step against those who harmed it. This raises a giant question that we will discuss a lot during this narration. Is it possible to really love a person that you also suspect of having collaborated to destroy your life? Because that's what Quem, Cuida is showing us with this duo Adriana and Pedro, interpreted so with such dedication by Leticia Collin and Che Suede. And speaking of these two, it's worth remembering for those who don't know, this isn't the first time they've acted together in a love plot.
Complicado. Os dois já haviam vivido um casal em Segundo Sol, lá em 2018. E essa parceria antiga certamente ajuda a explicar a química tão elogiada entre eles nas cenas mais intensas da novela atual. E se engana quem pensa que esse "ainda o amo" de Adriana vai ficar só nas palavras. A gente sabe como funciona a novela das 9, minha gente. Uma confissão dessas, feita justamente para uma amiga próxima como Nancy, é sempre o estopim para uma sequência de decisões impulsivas.
It remains to be seen if Adriana will allow herself to feel this love again, running the risk of being betrayed again, or if she will use precisely this feeling as part of her own revenge strategy against Brandon. Both possibilities are curious to follow, and that is exactly why so many people are commenting on this development on social networks. Meanwhile, on the other side of the board, there's Pedro, who, according to the official summary, is about to experience a Homeric climate inside the house itself. But that part, my people, I'll calmly count on part 3, because it involves confusion, lies, and a slip of Portuguese that could end his marriage before it even happens. Stay tuned, because the next chapter of this soap opera promises to be one of the most tense of the current phase, and I, Silvio, will bring backstage by backstage, scene by scene, so you don't miss anything. If you are not yet registered here in the world, now, this is the time to secure your place in this quality gossip, because every detail matters when it comes to understanding the heart of this warrior Adriana. It is also worth remembering, folks, that this is not the first time that Adriana and Nancy have exchanged heavy confidences like this. Over the last few chapters, this friendship has become a kind of safe haven for Adriana, a place where she can take off the mask of a strong, vindictive woman she needs to keep in front of Brandon, and simply be herself, scared, doubtful, longing. It is precisely this type of emotional layer that makes Quem, Cuida stand out among the soap operas of the 9, The protagonist is not just a heroine of cold revenge, she is a woman of flesh and blood, full of contradictions, and that is what the audience most sensitive to this type of plot comes from. Praising a lot in the comments on social networks, and I cannot fail to comment here. This scene between Adriana and Nancy also takes place at a symbolic moment in the plot, right after Adriana managed to erase a little piece of her life, getting a new job. It's as if, just when things start to stabilize, her heart decides to mess everything up again, bringing Pedro back to the center of her thoughts. A good novel is like that, my people. No piece lasts long, and each achievement is accompanied by a new to leave us glued to the screen every day. And look, keep that feeling there, because later in this narration I'm going to ask you a very direct question about this troubled novel, and I really want to know what you think. For now, let's go for part 3, because now the soap opera turns the tables at Pedro and Bruna's house, and the atmosphere promises to be one of those that hurts. Part 3. Climate at Casa dos Brandão. We've arrived at part 3, and here, my people, is where the soap opera shows us that inside that Brandão house, not everything is flowers, you see? Quite the opposite. According to the official summary released by the station for tomorrow's episode, Carmita will hear a strong argument between Pedro and Bruna. And look, whoever follows the plot knows that when these two start arguing, the climate takes over the whole house. Bruna, experienced by Fernanda Marcus, is pregnant with Pedro, and even so, the relationship between the two has already been showing signs of a crack for some time, mainly because this boy's heart has never really forgotten Adriana. And it is precisely because of this climate that the plot gives us quite a scene in the sequence. Bruna and Carmita decide to go to Adamir's party without Pedro. That's right, my people. They simply decide to go without him. Imagine the scene. A father's own birthday party, and the son doesn't even show up, or at least that's what the mood of the discussion suggests. Adamir, Pedro's father, is lived by Dan Stulbach, an actor who always delivers a performance like that. Full of nuances, and who in this novel plays a man with a strong personality, directly linked to the dark past that involves Adriana's. A lot of people bet that this Adamir knows a lot more about Arthur's death than he seems to know. Now let me tell you who this Carmita is that appears so much in this recent plot. Carmita is a character who is always at the center of the Brandão family backstage, listening to conversations, witnessing fights, and the official summary confirms that she will precisely capture this heavy discussion between Pedro and Bruna. This type of character, my people, is essential in a 9 o'clock soap opera. It is through it that we, the public, learn secrets that the protagonists have not yet discovered with each other. And apparently, Carmita will carry valuable information about this fight to use later in the plot. It is also worth remembering, for those who may be arriving now in this gossip, that this Adamir birthday party is not just any event in history. According to the previous chapters already shown, this same event had already been the scene of other confusions, including Adriana deciding to appear precisely to confront Adamir, publicly accusing him of having bought witnesses to unjustly condemn her. That is, this party was born boiling. And now, with Pedro and Bruna deciding to go to Carmita's side anyway, the tension is only likely to increase. Can you imagine the climate when everyone else meets in that hall, face to face, knowing about each other's dirt? And here, my people, I need to be very honest with you, because this is a rule that I take very seriously here on this channel. I am not going to adopt any dialogue that Globo has not yet officially confirmed. Everything I bring you is based on the official released by the station as a preview of the next chapters, complemented with the real context of the plot that has already been aired. So when I speak intense climate, or Homeric climate, it is because the very sequence of confirmed facts already delivers this, without me having to invent anything. Here, the gossip is quality, with responsibility, and that's what separates this type of cheap rumor content around. Going back to the party, think to me, my people, about what Bruna could mean by deciding to go alone, together with Carmita, to this event so full of history. Will she use this opportunity to get even closer to Adamir, her almost father-in-law, in an attempt to guarantee space in the Brandão family, since the relationship with Pedro is so unstable? Or is it that this trip is just a way for Bruna to show independence, proving to herself that she doesn't need Pedro around to take your place in that rich and problematic family? These are questions that only tomorrow's chapter, officially shown by Globo, will be able to really answer. And I'll be here, with my eyes on you, to bring them to you as soon as everything is confirmed. And I can't help but comment with you on a backstage detail that has already gone viral on social networks in recent days. Letitia Collin herself, who plays Adriana, published records of the recordings of this. new phase of the plot alongside Chase Wade, the Pedro of the story, and joked with fans about the reunion of the two characters that was to come, generating a flood of comments and theories on the internet. This shows how even the actors themselves know the size of the audience's belief about this emotional triangle between Adriana, Pedro, and Bruna, and how Globo's production teams work behind the scenes and social networks together to keep everyone glued to the plot. And another thing that I think is important to bring to you, my people, is the social layer that this soap opera carries behind the drama of passion. We are talking about a very rich family, the Brando family, who built their fortune on top of the jewelry business, while Adriana, on the other side, came from a completely different reality, losing everything in a flood and having to rebuild life from scratch, literally inside a shelter. This social contrast is a fundamental part of what makes us hope so much for it, and be so suspicious of every movement in this family, full of secrets and hidden interests. Hold on to that curiosity, because in part 4, I'm going to reveal information that promises to throw a bomb into that story. Someone is going to tell Adamir himself that Pedro is determined to investigate Arthur's death on his own. And that, my people, changes the game completely. Let's go to the next part because now things get even hotter. Part 4, the bomb on Arthur's death. Part 4, and now the bomb I promised back there. According to Globo's official preview for tomorrow's chapter, Carmita will tell Adamir that Pedro intends to investigate Arthur's murder on his own. Stop, my people, and think about the size of this information. Pedro, Adamir's own son, determined to brood over a case that has already been tried, that has already condemned Adriana, and which, according to much of the public is suspicious, may have many more people involved than justice discovered at the time. If Adamir knows something he shouldn't have known, this news from Carmita could get him into complete meltdown. And following this bombshell, the summary confirms yet another tense scene. Bruna demands that Adriana stay away from Pedro. My people. It's not just silly soap opera jealousy, no. She is a humble woman, about to build a family, seeing the father of her son determined to investigate a crime that can reopen old wounds and, to boot, bring Adriana back to the center of his life. Bruna's reaction here is completely understandable within the logic of the plot, even if we, as Adriana's fans, turn our noses up at this madness. It's that kind of conflict, built that makes Quem, Cuida such a big hit on this 9 o'clock night track. Now, my people, the time has come for me to take that nice break that you already know here from the channel to send a loving greeting to those who are always here with me accompanying every chapter, every gossip, every backstage of this incredible soap opera. Today, I want to thank from the bottom of my heart 3 special people who commented on our last video, and look, your comments are what motivate me to continue bringing this content more and more complete and faster. First hello goes to Marlena Aparecida dos Santos from Uberlandia in Minas Gerais, who is a history teacher, and who has followed this channel since the time of BBB coverage, always commenting with enormous affection in each narration. Marlene, your comment on the last video really excited me. Saw it? Thank you so much for always being here. Second salute goes to Rogerio Nascimento from Manaus, Amazonas, an application driver who said he watches the channel's narrations while working on the races, and that Quem, Cuida became the right company at the end of his shift. Rogerio, knowing that we are part of your routine like this is a huge joy for me. Believe in faith, my brother, and thank you very much for the crowd. And the third salvo goes to Cleusa Marques Batista from Recife in Pernambuco, a hairdresser who spoke in the commentary that discusses the soap opera with clients at the salon all day long, and who has followed this channel since the first gossip coverage. Cleusa, knowing that we help you feed these delicious chats in your work is wonderful. Thank you very much for the partnership and for spreading our content around. Folks, it's exactly because of comments like your 3 and so many others that I can't mention every day that I keep standing, recording, researching, looking for every piece of information carefully to bring the best possible content to this channel. Every name, every city, every life story that you share in the comments saw fuel for me to stay up on this mission to bring good, serious, and well-recorded gossip. Now let's continue with our narration, because there is still a lot of good gossip ahead. Returning to tomorrow's chapter. With Bruna demanding distance between Adriana and Pedro, it is evident that the soap opera is preparing the ground for a direct confrontation between the two women, something that many viewers have been asking for on social networks for weeks. After all, my people, even when will Adriana agree to stay aside while Bruna tries to control Pedro's every move? And how long will Pedro agree to be treated as property, with no room to make his own decisions within the marriage itself? These damn tensions tend to explode, and every passing chapter makes this more evident. And look, my people, it is also worth highlighting the symbolic weight of this word investigate within the plot. Pedro is a lawyer by training, someone who should trust the justice system that helped to condemn. Adriana, but now, moved by doubt and perhaps guilt, decides to stir precisely in the process that put the woman he loves behind bars for 6 years. This raises a question that much for the most attentive fans. Has Pedro always distrusted Adriana's and hidden it all that time, or has this doubt been born now, recently, after the reunion of the two? The answer to that question could set the course for the entire second half of this novel. And it is precisely this kind of twist that separates a well plot from any soap opera, my people. Quem, Cuida has been praised by specialized critics precisely for this care in tying each character's decision to a very well-crafted emotional consequence, and not simply for creating empty confusion just to arrest. Every Bruna's gesture, every silence, every look of distrust has a solid dramatic motif behind it. And that's what makes the public so attached to this universe. Let's go to part 5, because now a supporting character enters the scene to light up this wick even more, telling Pedro information that Bruna preferred he never finished. Part 5. Bruna causes Adriana. Part 5. Except that the soap opera doesn't stop. According to the official summary for tomorrow's chapter, the one who enters the scene now is Mau, telling Pedro that Bruna went to Adriana's house to provoke her. To think about it, my people, the same Bruna who, in the previous part, demanded that Adriana stay away from Pedro, was herself the one who sought Adriana out for a direct confrontation. This is quite a contradiction, right? At the same time that she tries to protect herself, keeping her distance, she also cannot resist the impulse to go and mark territory personally. It is this type of human behavior, full of contradiction, that makes us identify so much with the characters in this plot, even when we do not agree with their attitudes. And the summary even reveals another important scene in the sequence. Adriana observes Lyris talking to Ulysses. For those who don't remember, Ulysses is Arthur's brother, lived by Alexandre Borges, part of that ambitious family that Adriana still distrusts having armed against her. Lyris, on the other hand, is a character who has been getting closer and closer to Adriana's core, in a character that promises to be fundamental from now on. Seeing Adriana observing this conversation from a distance is always a sign that some distrust is emerging, or that some important information is about to be discovered through this character. By the way, about this friendship between Adriana and the characters that surround her, I need to bring a really cool backstage that Letitia Collin herself commented on in a recent interview. The actress revealed that the female core supporting Adriana even gained an affectionate nickname from the team backstage of the recordings, and that this character enters precisely to provide emotional support to the character. A little for all the evils she suffers throughout the plot, especially during the period that she spends in prison. According to the actress, these partnerships will give Adriana a lot of strength and resilience from now on, and this already shows that Lyris and Nancy are not passing characters. No, they have a big emotional role within this story. And another very curious backstage detail, Letitia Collin also said that most of the scenes from the period when Adriana is imprisoned were recorded inside a real prison, which was already active and is now deactivated. Actress. The search for realism in the recordings helped the cast to dedicate themselves deeply to Lyris's 6-year isolation anguish, making Quem, Cuida stand out among TV9's current nighttime dramas. Next scene tomorrow. Adriana's observation of Lyris and Ulysses talking might spark her revenge plan. After all, folks, if there's one thing Adriana has learned since she got out of jail, it's that information is power, and every conversation, every look exchanged between the members of that family can become one more piece in the puzzle she's putting together. To prove his and finally put the real culprits in their place. And here, my people, I need to make a very important alert for you, because it really makes a difference when it comes to you continuing to receive this content right away. The Tutubi sometimes just doesn't deliver the new videos to everyone who is already subscribed to the channel. That's right, Saw? Sometimes the platform hides our content even from those who have been following us for a long time. Therefore, in addition to signing up here in the world now, it is essential that you activate the notification bell, because otherwise, there's a real chance that you will stop receiving our new videos and lose precisely the hottest and most complete gossip of this soap opera and so many other subjects that we cover here. You don't take that risk, see? Activate the bell right now, it's quick, and ensures you don't stay out of any gossip going forward. And let me take this moment to reinforce once again my responsibility as narrator of this channel. Everything I bring you behind the scenes, like these lines by Letitia Collin, comes from interviews actually given by the actress to the specialized press, always with a source. I don't work with invention, nor with set around, because I know how much you trust this channel to stay informed about this soap opera seriously, and that confidence is something I take extremely seriously in every narration I produce. In addition, it is worth reinforcing that Pedro, upon learning from Mau Mau that Bruna was confronting Adriana personally, tends to react in a very revealing way, because this upsets him so much that the bride herself is willing to go far to protect their relationship. Will this attitude of Bruna bring the couple even closer in a show of strength? Or will Pedro see this as a sign of female possessiveness, which will only push him even further? These nuances of behavior are what make this novel so enjoyable to analyze and comment on, chapter after chapter. Let's go to part 6, which is where I'll reveal the final hook of this chapter, the one that will keep everyone awake for tomorrow night. And I'm still going to bring that question I promised back there for you to answer down here with yes or no. Part 6, the confrontation in the beauty salon. Part 6, and here, my people, is where tomorrow's chapter leaves us on that heart-aching hook. According to the official summary released by Globo, the sequence of scenes ends with Adriana and Pilar meeting in the beauty salon. Stop, breathe, and think to me about the size of that meeting. Pilar, remember her? She is Arthur's sister, lived by Isabel Teixeira, the same one who took over all the family's fortune and business after her brother's death, and whom Adriana strongly distrusts, having participated in the scheme that unjustly took her to jail. And now, out of nowhere, these two women, each carrying a silent hatred for the other, will face each other face to face, in a completely neutral environment like a beauty salon. This type of coincidental encounter between two declared enemies is always a full plate inside a 9 o'clock soap opera, because the atmosphere is public, full of people, which prevents the two from simply leaving on top of each other, but at the same time it's intimate enough to create a climate to freeze the beholder's spine. We already know from previous chapters that Adriana is not to be quiet when confronted, and that Pilar doesn't usually miss the chance to provoke those she considers a threat to her interests either. So what will happen when these two look each other in the eyes there, between dryers and hair products? And here, my people, I need to be transparent with you once again. This meeting at the beauty salon is the last point officially confirmed by Globo within the summary of Chapter 50, scheduled for tomorrow, Wednesday, July 15th, 2026. What exactly happens within this scene? Whether there's going to be a word of mouth, a disguised pin, or a tense audio loaded with looks. This the station has not yet revealed in detail, and I'm not going to update this for you because I always prefer to bring serious and sensitive information than empty gossip. What I can tell you is that, according to the abstracts already released for Thursday, July 16th, this climate between Adriana and Pilar is not just looking at, promises to yield a real scandal in the sequel, with the right to accusations. That is, keep that courtesy, because the soap opera is really pushing these two towards a confrontation that was already delayed for chapters. Now yes, my people, the time has come for that question I promised you back there. Taking into account everything we commented today, the love Adriana still feels for Pedro, even distrusting him, and now this tense encounter arriving with Pilar, I want to hear from you. Do you believe that Adriana will be able to maintain emotional control in this meeting with Pilar without falling into a trap set by the Brando family? Comment down here with yes or no, and tell me the reason for your answer, because I love reading your every opinion of the direction of this plot. And before I close that part, let me remind you again, with all my affection, about the importance of the notification bell here on the channel. As I said, Tutubi does not always deliver our videos to everyone who is already registered, and this can make you miss precisely these hooks and twists that I bring firsthand, always based on official and electronic sources. So run over there, check if the bell is activated, because good gossip cannot go off. If you're enjoying this complete and detailed narration with a real backstage audio context and no invention, know that this is the type of content that we make a point of delivering every week here on the channel, both on Tutubi and in Primidoc. And look, this type of research work, of putting together an official summary with a backstage interview and the historical context of the plot, takes a huge push, see? So if you've come this far, consider leaving your comment telling what you found. It really helps this channel to grow and continue to bring this level of quality to you. And it is worth remembering quickly, for those who may not remember in detail, the origin of this hatred between Adriana and Pilar. It was Pilar who, shortly after Arthur's death, took practically all control of the family's fortune and business, leaving Adriana practically helpless and being pointed out, along with other witnesses, as an important piece in the construction of the case that condemned the protagonist. No wonder Adriana also suspects that Pilar bought false papers and testimonies to ensure that no one questioned the official version of Arthur's death. So this meeting at the beauty salon is not a simple crossroads, folks. It is the encounter between the victim and one of the main suspicions of having faced all this injustice. And there is one more detail that strengthens this friendship even more. Moments before this meeting, according to the official summary itself, Adriana had already been articulating, seeking help from other characters to discover information that could exactly harm Brando's core, including Adamir. That is, she is no longer just reacting to the attacks of this family, she is, little by little, becoming an active protagonist of her own revenge, picking up clue by clue, allied by ally. This meeting with Pilar may just be another piece of that board that Adriana is putting together, with patience and creativity. Let's go to part 7, the last of this narration, where I will close with a general summary of everything that happens tomorrow, and also leave a special message for those who came this far with me. Part 7, Closing and Acknowledgement. We arrive at part 7, the last of this complete narration, and look, my people, what a good journey we had together today. Let me quickly recap everything that comes around in tomorrow's chapter, Wednesday, July 15th, 2026, of Quem, Cuida, to get right in your head. According to the official summary released by Globo, Adriana confesses to Nancy that she still loves Pedro, but makes it clear that she hasn't given up on her revenge. Carmita spots a heavy argument between Pedro and Bruna, and these two decide to go without him to Adamir's birthday party. Carmita also reveals to Adamir himself that Pedro intends to investigate Arthur's death on his own, which could turn into a bomb within that family. Bruna demands distance between Adriana and Pedro, but Mau tells the boy that she was the one who went to provoke Adriana personally. Adriana observes a conversation between Lyris and Ulysses, and the chapter ends with a tense meeting between Adriana and Pilar inside a beauty salon. It's a lot, right, my people? Just one chapter, and look at the amount of conflict, upheaval, and emotional tension that Globo managed to fit in just over 40 minutes of training. And look, this is just one chapter. This shows how much care the team of screenwriters, led by Walsier Carrasco and Claudia Sudo, puts into each chapter of this plot, ensuring that no minute's silence is wasted, and that each character, whether protagonist or supporting character, has a clear function within this gear of revenge, love, and family secrets. That's why Quem, Cuida continues to be one of the big subjects commented on social networks every night after the recording. And before I say goodbye to you for today, let me reinforce again, with all affection, this important alert. The 2B, unfortunately, does not always deliver new videos to everyone who is already subscribed here on the channel. Sometimes the platform just hides our content, and that means, even if you are subscribed, you run the risk of never receiving our videos again if the notification bell is not activated. So, if you want to continue receiving this complete, detailed coverage, and always based on an optional source of Who Loves Care, and so many other subjects that we cover here, run right now and activate this bell. It's quick, takes 2 seconds, and makes all the difference for you not to be left out. And look, this channel is on a beautiful journey towards 10,000 subscribers, a goal that will help us continue to produce content with even more quality, more research, more real backstage for you. And the cool thing is that we always follow back those who sign up here, because for me this is a two-way street. You give me attention and affection every day, and I insist on returning this real affection. So if you're not part of this community yet, this is the right time to sign up, turn on the bell, and come with me to follow every chapter of this incredible soap opera, always with responsibility, without invented gossip, and without disrespecting anyone involved in this production. And to close with a golden key, let me share a quick reflection on what this soap opera has been teaching us, viewer. Chapter after chapter. Quem, Cuida talks a lot about starting over, about the strength that we discover within ourselves when we lose everything and need to free ourselves from scratch, as Adriana did after the flood that destroyed her life. But it also talks about the dangers of letting the hurt and the thirst for revenge completely take over our hearts, because sometimes this thirst can distance us precisely from the people we love most, as seems to be happening with Adriana in relation to Pedro. It is this delicate balance between justice and forgiveness that the plot will continue to explore in the next chapters, and I will be here, week after week, bringing every confirmed detail for you to follow without losing anything. Folks, I, Silvio, want to thank from the bottom of my heart every second you dedicated to watching this full narration so far. I know it was a long content, full of detail, full of context, but it was done with all affection, precisely for you to understand every nuance of this wonderful plot, which is Quem, Cuida. Thank you very much for trusting this channel to stay seriously informed about the world of soap operas, and I look forward to bringing you full coverage of tomorrow's episode as soon as it is officially shown. And before I even leave, I want to record here my respect for the entire cast of this soap opera, which has been delivering television performances chapter by chapter. Letitia Collin, Chase Wade, Antonio Fagundes, Isabel Teixeira, Alexandre Borges, Dan Stuhlbach, Fernanda Marquez, Natalia Dill, Belize Pombal, and Jesuita Barbosa. Each one building with great talent this story that has been thrilling the whole of Brazil every night. Such a work deserves to be respected, celebrated, and understood with affection, and that is exactly what we propose to do here, always with responsibility and without disrespecting anyone. A big kiss, a tight hug, and until the next narration, see? Stay with God, and don't forget. Comment down here with yes or no on the question I asked back there, because I really want to know the opinion of each one of you. Until later, my people.